Welcome to another fresh episode of the Christopher Odiley's Notebook on the Morgeez podcast. Like I told you before, this episode or this series of the Morgeez podcast, which is the Christopher Odiley's Notebook, is about bringing your fresh information, useful information that you can use to apply, to better understand the music business or the music industry, in order for you to be able to have guidance that can help you to make relevant decision and understanding on how the music industry works. This is the second episode of this series, the Christopher Odiley's Notebook. Well, today is gonna be a bumper edition as I try to take you through, the relationship between the artist and the record label. So stick around, don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. Today, what the topic of this episode is? It says, can an artist survive without the record label? This is what we'll be dealing with today. Can an artist survive without a record label? I have decided to deal with this topic because, of its importance in the music industry. And, most of all, as many of the players involved in the music industry are totally divided or split in half. The artist and the record label are split in half when it comes to understanding the relationship between the artist and the record label. Others argue that the artist is the boss of the record label, while in some other quarters, it seems like the record label is actually the boss of the artist. So there's this confusion that we need to deal with right now. Now, what I mean by the notion that there is a notion that one of this group, that there is a notion that one of this group is actually like cheating and the other out when it comes to the business of the music industry. Some artists, they feel treated badly, and record label always feel artists are always on the wrong side. They don't understand the business, so there's always this fight and this argument, sometimes even resorting into court cases. From the way the topics are pending, there seem a lot to cover. So right after the break, after this break, I want to be dealing with, or I want to be having a look at what is a record label. First off, before we actually get started, we need to understand who is who. So I'm going to start with one, what or who is a record label, or what is a record label? Then two, who is an artist? So I feel that if we can be able to break these two bodies down, we will be able to understand exactly what the relationship between the artist and the record label should actually look like, in a setup of business relationship, all of those kind of stuff in the music industry. So having a clear, simplified understanding, of these two bodies will go a long way in solving the riddle of this. Can an artist survive without a record label, or can a record label survive without an artist? So all of this thing, we need to get a simplified definition of these two bodies for us to know exactly what to do and where to go from here. So stick around, I'll be right back.
This is the Christopher Odiley's Notebook, brought to you by Morgeez Records. Check out morgeez.com for more info.
A look at the record label and its duties will include these vital points. I try to simplify everything so that we we don't get lost in the middle of this conversation. But then, number one will be marketing of recordings. These are the duties of a record label. Number one, it says marketing of a recording with reference to music in this regard anyway. So let's keep that in mind. Number two, releasing of music videos for promotion of music recordings using motion pictures to express a song. So that's number two, that's releasing of music videos. Then number three, record label can also be tasked with the responsibility of manufacturing all the related music, marketing, and promotional materials, including sales materials such as music recordings and merchandise and distribution of such materials. So a record label is also tasked with the responsibility of manufacturing all of the materials that will be on sale, promotional materials, the album itself, the MP3 files or the disc or CD copy, hard copy or digital copy. Record label is responsible for the manufacturing of these materials. Then number four, the record label can also act as a publishing company, ensuring all recordings, merchandise, and other trademarks, all of the trademarks that belongs to this artistic creation or creativity are used rightfully, are published under copyright law supervision or whatever you call it, but meanwhile are published under strict copyright guidance. So this publishing aspect of the record label definitely depends on the size of the record label, if it can handle such other expanded, because I call this expanded duties like publishing. Then one of the key role for record label in the music industry is executing programs of talent discovery and talent development. Talent discovery and talent development, and also administering contracts with artists and their personal managers. Obviously, we all know that the record label definitely need to deal with the artists and artists' personal managers. So contract, we all know contract, that spells out the terms and conditions of the working relationship is well documented. Is like one of the major key roles that the record label need to take care of. Then number six is it's also part of the record label's duty to publicize artist activities through media relations, media outreach programs that promote the artist's works and merchandise, tours, and all of those things. It's the responsibility of a record label to take care of all of that. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to explain here is that, let me break it down a little bit so that we can first understand what I'm talking about. In a nutshell, a record label is an entity or a company that does the following. One, talent scouting, talent development. Number two, the manufacture of final music products such as CDs, DVDs, merchandise copies, and other products. Number three. Then number four, distribution of all music recordings. Then number five, releasing or publishing of music recordings or trademarks for all forms of commercial use. So in this situation, we're referring to when corporations or other institutions uses materials of these recordings or productions from between they were produced between the artist and the record label. It is the responsibility of the record label to ensure that such corporations like broadcast corporations and other institutions that want to be using this in productions are actually are paying for it, for commercial use, paying for it, and it is the responsibility of the record label to actually collect those royalties. Those money being paid by those corporations, they are referred to as royalties. So these royalties are being paid to the record label, and the record label in turn distributes these funds between itself and the artist in a special manner that that tend to be transparent enough and avoid any kind of confusion. That is rule number 6, simplified. Then we've got we've got number 7 here, and 7 is A&R. A&R, artist and rapporteur. A particular segment of the record company that deals with talents, including scouting and development. That is A&R. This is the department of the record label that deals with talent scouting and talent development. What that means is that, as a record label, when you sign an artist, for example, you find an artist at a local gig or some talent shows, you know very well that these talents, they are very raw. So what happens is that when you get them signed, you get them mentored, you get them developed, groomed, and polished to the extent that you really desire to use them as, let's say, recording or qualified artists. Then the last point here is publicizing all artists' recordings, including audio, videos, and merchandise. Merchandise is very important because when artists have certain forms of merchandise, because of his or her images, some people might not be too interested or too keen in the musical work of the artist, but then his or her merchandise can actually attract them. For example, fashion, jewelries, and all of those other things that the artists have a stake on. So it's very important that the record label take control or be responsible for publicizing all artists' recordings, including their audio and the videos, in a manner that it goes out well enough to reach out to the target market. So, well, it's getting heated up in here. I believe, or supposedly, you understand exactly what record labels' duties are right now. But when we come back, I want to be touching on the duties or the responsibility or the role of an artist in this whole setting. So stick around, don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. The Christopher Odiley Notebook. Now let's define the artist's role in the music industry and in the settings of the relationship between the artist and the record label. 1. Record music compositions. 2. Perform music compositions in public to an audience. Then 3. Compose original lyrics for recording as songs or music tracks. Then 4. Develop and perfect unique performance styles through regular rehearsals. You must remember this as an artist. You've got to develop unique performance styles. Oftentimes artists, they depend on the record label in everything, but I want to tell y'all that as an artist, it is your responsibility to create and carve your unique image, which includes your performance style. Because if you have a great performance style that always wow the audience, it is to your credit. Record label might contribute a bit anyway, but then, or you might work together with your record label to come up with your performance style. But majorly, it's your responsibility to come up with a style and work hard every time rehearsal, just like a soccer player, training, rehearse. That's what that point number 4 is all about. Then number 5, perform paid or charity concert, as the case may be. As an artist, it is your responsibility to appear in any gig that you are scheduled, be it a charity concert, concert for charitable causes that you ain't gonna get paid for it, but you need that platform to to prove your visibility and relevance to the community that you are, to the society, or even to the world at large. Because the more concert that you perform, maybe charity or paid, the more you are known, the more your face is on TV, the more you are known, the more you are everywhere. So it's part of your responsibility to actually and always respond to any concert or gigs you are booked in, no matter whether it is charitable course or paid course. You must be available. Then number 6 is appear in all kinds of promotional interviews. This point is very dear to my heart because I've seen situations whereby artists that are being booked for interviews, they don't want to show up. Other times they pick the kind of interviews that they want to attend to. Now, one fan gain or one fan included in your fan base is one great expansion that you can never buy with money. So what that means is that each and every interview that you do, be it for some local newspaper or even some community newspaper that covers maybe maybe just like a couple of thousands of readership. Come on, man. These people, they find just one little fan increases your revenue. That's what it is. So you ain't gonna sit down there and say, this interview is too small, you can't attend it. You must attend each and every interview that you were scheduled. That's number 6. Then number 5, abide by contract that you have signed with the record label. Now, as part of the working relationship between an artist and the record label, there always got to be a contract. So it is the responsibility of the artist to actually abide by the terms and conditions in order to avoid some bad blood between the working space and everything. So an artist must and always should abide by the terms and conditions of such record label contracts. All right, folks. Judging from the above, the artists or the recording artists really have lesser of industrial contribution other than using his talent. What I mean by that, the recording artist depends on his talent. There's no industrial contribution. Otherwise, you won't define your performance as industrial contribution. But then, industrial contribution, I mean in this situation, in the financial contribution, the financial whatever. So the recording, the artists barely have not much of it to do. But if you are working with indie record label, because the relationship is very close and they barely have no larger budget, so sometimes the artist might be required to actually be responsible for little financial commitment to push his course. It depends on the kind of contract. So as a matter of fact, though, the music industry is actually built around the artist's talents, and this is a fact. For the fact that without the artist, there's no music industry, and no music industry simply translates to no entertainment industry. Finally means there's no life. And bottom line is that the record label itself or a record company actually has no product. Well said. I'll be right back to tell you exactly what I mean by that.
This is the Christopher Odiley's Notebook, brought to you by Morgeez Records. Check out morgeez.com for more info.
Now, the question is, can an artist survive without a record label? An artist with a massive body of talent, can you survive without a record label? Hell no about that. I don't know. If the artist, for example, if you have all of the resources and you have all the money that you have raised somewhere, either by yourself or family contribution or from your other endeavors, you want to venture into the music industry as an artist. Now you have the funds and everything. Do you have the business acumen, the experience in business to be able to use their funds to sponsor yourself from recording? Now remember, when you're recording, there's business side to the recording itself. There's business side to even producing the materials of the recording or manufacturing the materials of the recording. There's business side to every of this segment. Do you have the business skills to manage your career as an artist with the funds? If you have all of the funds, for example, hell no. For sure, hell no about it. I'm not sure you'll be able to run the distribution network, the publishing network. In fact, even putting the right staffing together, I'm not sure on artists with a bigger budget can be able to achieve that anyway. That's about it. The comparison between the record label, who is the boss of who. It's a very simple thing that at the end of the day, these people they need to work together. Just like any take on issues that affects us all, most of the times it's always better to stick to what you believe in. Speaking of belief, that brings me to our final news part on the program, the closing quiz. I've got closing quiz in nearly all of the programs because you see that we actually need to some of the times rack our brain around and see exactly where we're going wrong, where we're going right, and be able to ask ourselves some of these simple questions so that we can be able to answer them. And once we provide simple answers to simple questions, I believe you will definitely be on your way to success, either as an artist or as a record label or as a joint parties. Now, question number 1, do you believe that the artist can do without the record label? Do you all believe that? You are an artist. Do you all believe that if you are given $1 million to set up a record label kind of entity to record your own music and put it out there, do you believe you've got the experience? Do you believe you can survive without a record label? What if you're an artist, no budget? Do you believe you can survive without a record label? Let's put it into perspective. Or do you believe that the record label is handicapped? That's question number 2. Do you believe that the record label is handicapped without the artist? Do you believe that without the artist, the record label can barely survive anything? They can barely do any business? Do you believe that? You've got to leave your answers. Please do leave your answers on the comment line below, because we need to make sure that we understand all of these things. Now, don't forget, folks, to subscribe because let's grow the community, because this community, the Christopher Odiley's Notebook series on the Morgeez podcast, is a community of knowledge, community of wisdom. It's our business community in the music industry. So don't forget to subscribe and let's grow the community and let us all learn from each other. Most importantly, until next time, I will remain your host of the Christopher Odiley's Notebook. Alright, folks, if you're in the music or entertainment industry or you know somebody therein, invite them. Let us all stick together as we all learn how to grow together. We are on Spotify and Stitcher right now, where y'all can follow us and share episodes. Subscribe to the Morgeez podcast feed on the official website, podcast.morgeez.com. And don't forget to visit tv.morgeez.com to watch our videos. To learn more about Morgeez Records and talent management, go to morgeez.com. Remember, at Morgeez, we are always thinking beyond now.